You know that feeling when your thumb slips on your phone and you accidentally like some ancient photos? Yeah, that happened to me. But instead of just being awkward, it completely blew up my best friend Chloe's life. And now I don't know if I did the right thing or if I'm the world's biggest jerk. Hey everyone, settle in, because this is messy. So, Chloe's engaged to Mark seemed like the perfect couple, right? High school sweethearts, the whole deal. I was her maid of honor. Then, maybe a month ago, I got this weird feeling. Nothing huge, just Mark acting a little too secretive with his phone, canceling plans last minute with lame excuses about work trips. Chloe brushed it off, said I was paranoid but I couldn't shake it. I even felt guilty for doubting him. Then came the slip. I was scrolling through Instagram Explore, deep in some weird rabbit hole, and my finger slipped. I accidentally liked a photo from an account I didn't even follow. Some random guy named Mike_Adventures or something. Panicked. I went to unlike it fast, but then I froze. The photo was a close-up of a fancy watch on a guy's wrist at some beach bar. I knew that watch. Mark wore it every single day. Chloe gave it to him for their anniversary. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just some lookalike. I clicked the profile, private, only a few followers. But the biolocation, it matched one of Mark's recent work trips. My hands were shaking. This had to be him. Why would he have a whole secret account? Driven by this awful mix of loyalty to Chloe and sheer panic, I did something maybe crazy. I requested to follow Mike_Adventures from my own Finsta, that silly account I used for memes and stuff, under a fake name Mark wouldn't recognize. And he, accepted. Suddenly I had a front row seat to Mark's secret life. Photos popped up, trips Chloe never knew about, dinners, and then selfies with her, smiling, arms wrapped around each other. Proof, actual proof, he was cheating. Chloe's, the whole future was a lie. I had it all, right there on his own secret page. I knew I had to tell her. She had to know before marrying this guy, so I took screenshots every single damning post. My finger hovered over the message button to send them to Chloe. But then I stopped. Was I a hero for exposing him, or was I about to destroy everything by becoming a sneaky hacker? That moment, that terrifying click. That's where everything changed forever. My thumb stayed frozen over the screen. Sending those screenshots felt like dropping a bomb directly onto Chloe's life. She wasn't just my best friend, she was family. We'd been through everything together since freshman year of college, bad breakups, job losses, even when her dad got sick. She trusted Mark completely, planned every detail of their beach wedding for next spring. Telling her this would break her, but not telling her letting her marry a liar. That felt like an even bigger betrayal. I thought back to Jason, Chloe's ex before Mark. He'd messed her around for months, making her feel crazy for doubting him, until we finally caught him in a lie about a boys' trip that was actually with someone else. Seeing Chloe cry for weeks back then, it wrecked me. She swore she'd never ignore her gut feeling again. And here I was, months later, having the proof she needed, and I was too scared to hit send because I didn't want to be the one causing that pain all over again. It was selfish. I knew it. The weight of Mark's secret felt suffocating. Seeing those pictures on his fake account, it wasn't just flirting, they looked cozy, familiar. Trips dated back months, places he'd told Chloe he was at, conferences or visiting his sick aunt. There were comments from this woman, some other account I couldn't see, calling him babe. My skin crawled. How long had this been going on? Was it just this one person? The sheer effort of the secret account, the lies. It felt calculated, cold. This wasn't a drunken mistake. It was a double life. Finally, after what felt like hours sitting in the dark, just staring at my phone's glow, I took a shaky breath. Loyalty won. Chloe deserved the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I couldn't let her walk down the aisle blind. With tears blurring my vision, I selected every single damning screenshot, the watch, the trips, the selfie with her attached, them to a message to Chloe, and typed 3 words, "We need to talk." Before I could second-guess myself again, I hit send. The message delivered instantly. Read 3:47 a.m. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. Silence. Absolute. Terrifying silence. No typing dots, no call, nothing. I just sat there staring at my own screen, the cold dread pooling in my stomach. What was she seeing? Was she in shock, angry, disbelieving? Was she looking at Mark right now, asleep beside her? The waiting was agony. Every second stretched out, filled with the horrifying unknown of what I'd just unleashed. I'd given her the truth, but now, I had no idea what came next. The silence stretched into minutes, then an hour. Dawn started creeping through my blinds, but I hadn't moved. My phone felt like a live grenade. Had Chloe believed it? Or had Mark spun some story already? The thought made me nauseous. He was charming, convincing. That's how he'd pulled off the double life in the first place. What if he told her I'd faked the screenshots, that I was jealous of their engagement? My mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Finally, my phone buzzed. Not a call, a text, from Chloe. Just 4 words. "Can you come over?" No emojis, no context. My stomach twisted into knots. Was it her, or was Mark forcing her to lure me over? The paranoia was overwhelming. I thought about calling her, but what if he was listening? I texted back, fingers trembling. Are you alone? Are you okay? Another agonizing wait. Then just come, please. Driving to her apartment felt like walking to my own execution. Every red light was torture. I replayed the evidence in my head, the secret account Mike_adventures, the watch, the trips, the woman's face clear in the selfie. It was undeniable. But doubt gnawed at me. Had I overstepped by using a fake account to gather proof? Was I now the sneaky one? The Aita question screamed louder in my head. Loyalty felt messy and complicated. Pulling up outside, I saw clothes, car, but Mark's was gone. A tiny relief, instantly replaced by dread. Taking the stairs felt like climbing a mountain. I knocked softly, bracing myself. The door opened slowly. Chloe stood there. She looked hollow, pale, eyes red and swollen but eerily calm. She didn't say a word, just stepped back to let me in. The apartment was silent. No music, no TV. The energy was thick and suffocating. She walked into the living room, sinking onto the couch like her legs wouldn't hold her. I sat beside her, not touching, afraid to. Did you talk to him? I whispered, the question hanging heavy. She took a shaky breath, staring straight ahead, not at me. He came home just before you texted, she said, her voice flat, devoid of its usual warmth. He was normal, happy even. Asked about my day. A single tear tracked down her cheek. Then I showed him the pictures. Your message. My heart stopped. What did he say? A harsh, brittle laugh escaped her. He denied it at first. Said it was Photoshop. Said you must have a grudge. She finally turned her head, her eyes locking onto mine, filled with a pain so deep it stole my breath. Then I mentioned the watch. The exact trip dates, the hotel name visible in one background. I knew details he hadn't told me. Details only someone on that trip would know. She swallowed hard. That's when he changed. The charm vanished. He just shut down, got cold, said it was complicated. That I didn't understand the pressure. Complicated pressure. Excuses. My blood boiled. Where is he now? He left, she whispered, pulling her knees to her chest, grabbed his keys and walked out. Didn't say where, didn't look back. She buried her face in her hands. He didn't even try to fight for us, Alex. He just left. Raw devastation in her voice shattered me. I'd given her the truth, but the aftermath was a desolate wasteland. As I put my arm around her shaking shoulders, a new wave of fear crashed over me. Where was Mark? What was he thinking? Was he angry at Chloe, or at me? The silence in the apartment wasn't peaceful anymore. It felt like the quiet before a storm. And I had no idea who the lightning would strike next, or when it would hit. The fallout had only just begun, and the danger felt terrifyingly real. The next few days were heavy. Chloe stayed with me, a ghost of her vibrant self. She barely ate, barely slept. Her phone became this terrifying object. Every buzz made her flinch. Was it Mark, an apology, more lies, or silence, which somehow felt worse? We tried to distract ourselves with bad movies, but the tension was a physical thing in the room, thick and suffocating. She started quietly packing her things from their apartment in small batches, each visit leaving her drained and silent. The wedding plans were frozen, a painful monument to what was shattered. Then, the notifications started. On my Finsta, the one I'd used to follow Mike_adventures, first, just a simple like on one of my old silly memes. Days old. My blood ran cold. Why now? Was it just an accident? A glitch? But then, a few hours later, he viewed my story, a completely blank story I'd posted weeks ago. There was no reason for anyone to look at that. It felt deliberate. A chill shot down my spine. He knew exactly who MemeQueen92 really was. The secret Instagram account that exposed him was now a weapon pointed back at me. Did he message you? Chloe asked, her voice thin with fear, when I told her, staring at my phone like it might bite. No, I whispered, my throat tight. Just watching. It feels like he's letting me know he's watching. The paranoia cranked up to 11. Every unfamiliar car outside my place felt suspicious. I double-checked locks constantly. Was he angry enough to try something? Was he gathering his own evidence against me? The Aita question screamed louder than ever. Had my method of uncovering his cheating crossed a line that gave him ammunition? Chloe, fueled by a brittle, furious energy, started digging deeper. She accessed their shared phone plan online, something Mark had always handled. She found numbers, frequent calls to one in particular, often late at night, lasting hours. Numbers he'd saved under fake names like Work Dave or Jim Buddy. She reverse-searched them online, her face grimly set. One matched the area code from the hotel background in the secret Instagram selfie. He wasn't just cheating, she said flatly. One evening, her eyes hard and distant, he was funding it. Trips, dinners. I found credit card charges he hid, charges I helped pay for. The betrayal deepened, becoming financial, a calculated theft of their future. The pain in her eyes shifted, hardening into something colder, sharper rage. The tension became unbearable. We were both jumping at shadows, My Finsta account stayed silent, but the feeling of being watched was constant, oppressive. Then, late one night, as Chloe finally dozed fitfully on my couch, my personal phone buzzed. Not a notification. A call. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in weeks. A name that sent pure ice through my veins. Mark. My hand trembled violently. Answer it. Ignore it. What did he want? To scream at me? Threaten me? Spin more lies? The ringing was deafening in the silent apartment. Chloe stirred, mumbled in her sleep. I stared at the screen, the green answer button glowing like a trap. This was it. The moment the carefully constructed walls of his double life came crashing down directly onto me. He wasn't hiding anymore. He knew I was the one who blew up his secret Instagram facade. Taking a ragged breath, my finger hovered over the screen, the weight of his anger and whatever came next pressing down on me. The ringtone cut through the quiet one last, insistent time before. The phone kept ringing, that awful shrill sound cutting through the quiet like a knife. Chloe's eyes snapped open, wide with instant panic when she saw the name flashing on my screen. I couldn't breathe. Answering felt like stepping off a cliff, but ignoring it felt just as dangerous. With a shaking hand, heart pounding in my ears, I swiped answer and put it on speaker. Mark. My voice sounded thin, scared, not how I wanted it. Silence. Then his voice came through low and chillingly calm, not angry, not yelling. Worse, controlled. Alex, just my name, but it felt like an accusation. We need to talk. About your little investigation. Chloe stiffened beside me, her hand flying to her mouth. What do you want, Mark? I managed, trying to sound steadier than I felt. A dry, humorless laugh. What do I want? I want to understand why you thought it was your place to hack into my private account, fabricate evidence, and try to destroy my relationship with Chloe. My blood ran cold. Fabricate? Those screenshots, clever, I'll give you that, but Isley explained. That account, it's an old one I barely used. My cousin borrowed it for a project. Those trips, work conferences Chloe knew about. That woman, a colleague liar. Chloe choked out, finding her voice. The watch, the hotel details. You lied to me. Misunderstood, Chloe, he said smoothly, infuriatingly calm. Things got complicated with work. I protected you from stress. But Alex, ... Double quotes, his tone hardened, focusing back on me. What you did following me with a fake account. Taking screenshots without consent. That's not just meddling. That's crossing a serious line. Legally, ethically, invasion of privacy, harassment. Even the air left my lungs. He was twisting it, making me the villain. My stomach churned. He was laying groundwork. You were cheating, I stated flatly, clinging to the truth. Prove it, he shot back, his voice like ice. Your evidence is circumstantial at best, obtained illegally at worst. My lawyer might see it differently. Lawyer. The word hit me like a physical blow. While you were playing detective, Alex, did you stop to think about the consequences? For you, for Chloe. He paused, letting the threat hang heavy. Chloe, sweetheart, think about your future, our shared assets. The apartment, dragging this through the mud benefits no one, especially not you. He was speaking directly to her now, bypassing me, using that fake concern that had fooled her for years. The manipulation was breathtaking. He wasn't denying it to her face anymore. He was threatening us, threatening her stability. Leave her alone, I hissed, fury momentarily overriding my fear. I will, Mark said, that awful calm returning. Once this is handled, Alex, you started this fire. Now you get to watch what burns. Consider this a warning. Retract your accusations, apologize, walk away quietly, or... He let the word linger, pregnant with menace. ... You force my hand, and trust me, you won't like how I play. The line went. Dead silence crashed back down, thicker, more terrifying than before. Chloe was staring at me, tears streaming silently, but her eyes were wide with a new kind of fear, the fear of what Mark might actually be capable of. My hands were numb. The screenshots felt worthless suddenly. He wasn't just a cheater, he was a strategist, turning the tables. He had money, maybe legal threats, and a terrifying willingness to scorch the earth. The secret Instagram account wasn't the end of the story. It was the spark that ignited a war I never saw coming. And the first shot across the bow had just been fired, leaving us stunned and exposed, staring into the chilling unknown of what Mark's next move would be. The danger wasn't just emotional anymore. It felt real, tangible, and terrifyingly close. The silence after Mark hung up was crushing. Chloe looked shattered, but something in her eyes had shifted, a spark of defiance flickering through the fear. He thinks he can scare us into silence, she whispered, her voice rough but steady. He thinks he's won. Mark's threats hung heavy legal action. Harassment claims. The screenshots suddenly felt like dangerous contraband. My stomach churned with dread. Had exposing his secret Instagram account through my Finsta truly backfired? This badly? Was I about to be sued for trying to save my best friend? But Chloe refused to crumble. Fueled by a cold fury I'd never seen, she became a force. She meticulously documented everything. The secret account, Mike_adventures, the dates matching his work trips, the hidden credit card charges for hotels and restaurants in cities he'd supposedly been alone. She even found old emails where he'd explicitly told her he wasn't traveling during those dates. She compiled a timeline of lies so extensive it painted a chilling picture of deliberate, long-term betrayal. It wasn't just cheating, it was a meticulously constructed double lie funded by their shared finances. The financial infidelity hit her almost as hard as the emotional betrayal. We debated confronting him publicly, exposing him online, but the fear of his legal threats was real. "We need leverage," Chloe said grimly. "Something undeniable that even his charm or a lawyer can't twist." We were stuck, paralyzed by his intimidation tactics. The screenshots burning a hole in my phone, feeling less like proof and more like potential evidence against me then. The unexpected twist happened. Completely out of the blue, Chloe got a direct message request on Instagram from an account we didn't recognize, a private profile with a generic name. The message simply read, "Are you Chloe, engaged to Mark? We need to talk. It's urgent." Heart pounding. Chloe accepted. A flurry of messages followed, revealing the sender was Sarah, the woman from the secret Instagram selfies she'd found Chloe. Turns out Mark's downfall wasn't just my finster snooping. Sarah had gotten suspicious too. She'd noticed Mark acting strangely secretive about his phone lately, especially after Chloe messaged him the screenshots I'd sent Mark. Panicking, had shown Sarah some of them, claiming an obsessed ex was stalking him and faking pictures. But Sarah wasn't buying it. She did some digging of her own and found Chloe's public profile through mutual connections Mark had carelessly mentioned. Sarah wasn't just another affair partner, she was devastated. She'd believed Mark was single. He'd spun her an elaborate story about a difficult divorce years ago. He'd even introduced her to friends as his girlfriend. She sent Chloe photos, selfies with Mark at events Chloe knew he'd attended for work, screenshots of loving texts from him, even a video he'd sent her from inside the apartment he shared with Chloe, claiming it was his new place. The final, crushing piece. Sarah revealed Mark had borrowed a significant amount of money from her recently for a business opportunity. At the same time period, Chloe discovered missing funds from their joint savings. His cheating wasn't just emotional, it was financial. Fraud spanning both women. Armed with Sarah's testimony and evidence, the picture became undeniable, unshakable. Mark wasn't just a liar, he was a predator, weaving lies to exploit everyone around him. His threats against me for using a fake account paled in comparison to the mountain of deception he'd built. Chloe knew what she had to do. She didn't call a lawyer first. She called Mark and demanded he meet her immediately, not for reconciliation, but for a reckoning. She chose neutral ground, the coffee shop near his gym, a place he felt comfortable and in control. She didn't tell him Sarah was coming. Watching from a discreet table nearby, my heart hammered. Chloe looked calm, almost eerily so, sitting straight-backed. Mark arrived, all false charm and concern, probably expecting her to cave to his intimidation. He started talking, leaning in, using that familiar, soothing tone. Chloe let him talk for a minute, then she slid an envelope across the table. It contained printed copies, not just my screenshots but Sarah's photos, Sarah's texts, the loan agreement, the timeline of lies. Mark's face went from smug to confused, then to sheer abject panic as he flipped through it. His carefully constructed facade crumbled in seconds. The color drained from his face. He stammered, looking wildly around, his eyes landing on Sarah, who had quietly walked up to stand beside Chloe. The shock on his face was absolute, caught by both of them. Together, he didn't yell, he didn't deny, he just stared, mouth slightly open, looking utterly exposed and small. The master manipulator had nothing left. He grabbed the envelope, fumbling, knocking over his chair in his haste to escape the two women whose lives he'd shattered. He practically ran out, leaving his coffee untouched, the proof of his double life scattered on the table. The silence he left behind wasn't filled with fear this time, but with the stunned, heavy satisfaction of truth finally prevailing. The cheater hadn't just been exposed, he'd been completely dismantled, cornered by the very lives he'd tried to control. The war was over, he'd lost everything, and Chloe, she finally took a deep, shuddering breath. The ghost of the woman she'd been before Mark, slowly starting to return. The path ahead was still painful, but the liar was gone. Watching Mark scramble out of that coffee shop, leaving chaos in his wake, felt like a dam breaking. The suffocating pressure of the past weeks just lifted. Chloe didn't cry. She looked at Sarah, the other woman who'd been just as deceived, and something wordless passed between them, a shared understanding of the monster they'd both escaped. Sarah looked just as shaken, but relieved. "He borrowed $5,000, she whispered, her voice thick, said it was for his startup. Chloe just nodded grimly. The financial betrayal stung almost as deep as the rest. The practical stuff happened fast. Fueled by cold fury and the undeniable proof Chloe now possessed, Mark folded quickly. He knew he was cornered. He signed papers relinquishing any claim to the apartment Chloe had mostly paid for, under threat of Chloe and Sarah jointly pursuing him for fraud over the stolen money which he'd actually used partly to fund dates with Sarah. He returned the funds he'd taken from their joint savings and reimbursed Sarah. He didn't fight. His entire house of cards had collapsed, and facing legal consequences scared him more than losing them. He simply vanished from their lives, a ghost of the man they thought they knew. Cleaning up the emotional wreckage took longer. Chloe moved out of their shared apartment completely, into a bright small place that was just hers. The wedding dress was sold. It wasn't easy. Some days were raw, filled with anger and disbelief. Other days, a quiet sadness. But slowly, the light came back into her eyes. She started laughing again. Genuinely, she focused on work, reconnected with friends he'd subtly isolated her from, and even started dating again cautiously when she felt ready. Sarah and Chloe didn't become best friends, but they stayed in touch, a strange, unexpected bond, forged in fire. They checked in occasionally, offering silent support only the other could truly understand. It was closure, of a sort. As for me, that Aita question still echoes sometimes. Was I wrong to use a fake account to expose his cheating? Maybe technically, but seeing Chloe now, rebuilding her life free from that toxic lie, free from the gaslighting and the financial drain, seeing her rediscover her strength, I have zero regrets. The method might have been messy, but the truth was worth it. The thought, secret Instagram account was the key that unlocked his deception, but it was Chloe's courage and Sarah's unexpected solidarity that truly brought him down. The takeaway: trust your gut, protect your friends, and never ever underestimate the power of the truth, even when it arrives through a slightly accidental Instagram like. The cheater lost everything. The betrayed, they found themselves again, stronger on the other side. That's the real win.